Hello, Cine-Mocker Nation. Juan Maldonado.
Jorge Vargas, and
we are here to review the trailer for Terminator Genisys, official trailer number 2. Boom. This trailer spoils a lot of the movie, so I guess spoiler alert for the trailer.
And it potentially may spoil the entire damn franchise if it wasn't already spoiled already in your minds.
And I don't know what it is about Terminator trailers, but T2, it spoiled that Arnold was a good guy, because he was a villain in the first one.
Yep.
And then Terminator Salvation, it spoiled that the main character was a Terminator. And that was the reveal in the movie.
Pretty much. I mean, I don't know about the trailers for the third or fourth, but the only thing they don't spoil is like small elements about the plot. And this one has you raise a lot of questions about the plot, but
they're not exactly the greatest questions. For instance, Jurassic World, the questions we asked were because we were excited. Where is this going? This trailer, if like he's a fan of the franchise,
too much of a fan.
Yeah,
maybe.
So it's like who is the target audience for this trailer? Like, I get that. Are they rebooting it? Is this a sequel? Yeah. Is this in canon with the other first two?
It could be like, this is an entire new thing for the new people that have never seen the Terminators.
Exactly.
Because for, like, as a Terminator lover of T1 and T2, this is just like, it makes the other two not make any sense.
Yeah, so that's what I'm trying to get at, where it's making us ask bad questions. But you're trying to connect the dots of how it's all interconnected. Yeah. So are the first two in canon with this movie? Are 3 and 4 like tossed to the side? So like, which movies are?
It might be exactly what they're going for, but it seems as though it wants to connect more to T1 and T2,
which is okay.
Any other ones.
Yeah, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right, because 3 and 4 were bad. And was there another one? 5?
This is the 5th one.
Okay, this is number 5. I only saw 1 and 2 because I didn't bother with the other
ones.
I liked 1 and 2 too much to have it be spoiled. Anyways, this trailer made me really angry. Yeah. Personally.
We're just scared that when the movie gets released, is gonna fall on itself. We're like, because there's already baggage on this movie, where if they try to convolute the plot even more of time travel, then it's just going to fall on itself.
So, let's get into it.
Yeah. So, if the first shot, it starts off with Sarah Connor talking to a young John Connor, which doesn't make any sense.
I mean, it doesn't really, because she's definitely the age where she's already a badass and knows about everything, which is the beginning of T2, and he's supposed to be a teenager. Yeah. And she goes back to where he's like 10.
He's like 10 in this. And by the shot, right, in the 10-second mark, he's like surprised to see her.
Yeah. So does she go back herself?
Or does she go into the future? I don't know.
But I think she's wearing that black suit. Like, she can't go back in time with clothes. So how does she get the black suit?
So the reason we ask, like, how does she not only like see John Connor in this, but she hasn't even met Kyle Reese yet. Yeah. Or I don't know. I
don't know either.
And then
a quick shot to Judgment Day, where it's like, well, this is what happens if none of this works out. Yeah. Which I mean, that's the canon of all of it. Yeah.
So. And then talking about the canon, it goes back to like, we need to send somebody to go back to save my mother, which is the plot of the movie. Yeah. Like the franchise. Yeah. Which is, I get it. That's
John Connor as an adult, he's all scarred up and it doesn't really look nice.
No, it like distracts from his performance because you're like, oh,
it looks fake.
Yeah, it looks fake. So yeah.
And he's like, well, this is the entire premise of all of it.
Yeah. Which is fine because we already know that stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. So it's okay. And then it gets into the whole Kyle Reese getting sent back in time. We do see which is what we don't get in the other movies, is like them fighting against the machines.
Oh yeah, like it's like in the future when it's already the machines have taken over. I mean, we get some of that in the first couple movies, but we don't see any really like action like.
Yeah, no, like the robots fighting. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It looks like they're trying to. Because it actually looks like they're infiltrating where Skynet is, using their time traveling device to get Kyle Reese.
You see them running with their guns, and it's
exactly
like
that's that's the mission. That's what they've been trying to do.
In the first couple movies, you just see like the robots are literally messing everything up.
Yeah, and they're like in control of everything. And then it's John Connor being actually a good leader, which we don't really see that in the other movies. Yeah. That's a good thing. John Connor's supposed to be like that.
So he starts off, we can save our world, let's send someone back in time, and you see Mr. Reese, aka his pops.
Yeah.
go in and he's like, let me save her. I can do this. And you've seen that before.
Exactly. But then this is what you haven't seen. They send them back to the Terminator 2, like the Terminator 2 time.
Terminator 2.
Okay, I see. You're right.
It has the Terminator.
This is what we're trying to get at.
Exactly. It's the Terminator 2 Terminator in the shot where Sarah Connor, Kyle Reese, and Arnold Schwarzenegger, bad guy Terminator, they first meet in that clothes shop. And it's like, how is Terminator 2 there?
Yeah.
The second the
liquid.
The mercury looking guy.
There you go, that's a good way to say it.
And how does Sarah Connor pull up to to Kyle Reese and say, come with me if you want to live?
Which is the line she says to him.
Right, like she already knows who he is. It's just like...
Which is the line he says to her, sorry.
So how is John gonna be born? Is it do they go do the dirty on purpose? Just so he's born? Like, I don't know.
Well, the thing is too is that she already, and then she knows that Kyle Reese is coming.
Yeah.
Like, she's been expecting him for 10 years.
And she's already with Arnold.
Yeah, so
the good Terminator from T2.
Yeah, so that's another thing which is different too, is that the difference here is that Arnold Schwarzenegger, instead of getting Arnold Schwarzenegger, I keep calling him that, it's so classic, is that the T-800, which is the 8, that's Arnold, like, the young version that goes in the first Terminator in 1984. They almost like send them back further.
Right. Because he looks aged.
Yeah, and that makes sense, and I'll explain that in a second. So the premise of the plot is that she actually grows up with him when she's a kid, and she calls him Pops. Okay? Now, the whole aging thing comes from the fact that the skin on the Terminator, that's actually, like, it ages.
It's alive.
Yeah.
It has to be live biological tissue.
Yeah, so you see the white hair
or else
and the skin
you
and
can't.
whatnot.
That's why they can't take back clothes and weapons. I don't know if you've seen the other Terminators, but that's why. It has to be live tissue.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why T-800, Arnold, whatever, bad or good, whatever it is, that's why he's old.
Yes.
Okay.
Which is fine, because then we get Arnold Schwarzenegger back in the Terminator franchise, which is a good thing. He plays a good robot. I like him. Like, Terminator franchise, Arnold's, yay. And then we see shots of the T-1000 and the action sequences, which is, to me, strange, too, because in Terminator 2, I was, like, scared of that Terminator. Like, I was scared of the floor. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was, like, terrified of this guy. And then you think that he's the villain. You think that, like, the premise here, because of time travel being all out of whack, that it takes place between the first and the second one, they put them together. And I was like, oh, okay, I get it. Cool. All right, cool. That's fine. But the whole movie, it's hard to kill the guy. It's hard to kill the T-1000. And then when we get to the rest of the trailer, it's almost like he's only in it for 10 minutes.
Exactly.
So you're kind of discrediting the first two.
First of all, he doesn't look like the old guy, which is okay because he duplicates people's looks and whatever, and voices and everything. But, spoiler alert for the trailer or movie, it's John Connor who they end up going after. Because he's the guy that's like the bad guy that they have to shoot. Yeah. So it starts off, John Connor is in the past as the future self, all scarred up, and he sees his mom in that insane asylum, I want to say, but she's just like put away, and that's where you see her doing pull-ups in the second movie. And she says, like, how the hell are you here? Yeah. Because... Which
raises a question. How do you know what you look like? How do you, like, you're my son from the future. How do you know what we, like...
He just comes up like, Ma, no autographs, please. And she's like, oh, John! Oh, my God, John, it's you! I don't get it. I don't get how she knows.
And then it goes into the shot of, then Arnold, they're in a parking lot, Arnold just shoots him. And you're like, whoa. Okay. What just happened?
So why does
yet
another question?
Which is okay. That's a good question.
That's a question that should be raised from like a trailer.
Yes.
Like after all that other stuff, it's like okay. Yeah. And then you see his blood go back into him,
and you're like, what?
I guess he is not human.
Yes. And, it's just so frustrating.
It makes me so mad. Oh,
and I'm okay with having John Connor be the villain because the franchise has been, I guess, alive for the last 30 years. You need to change things.
Right.
And I'm okay with that, but making the reveal in the trailer that he's actually the villain of the movie.
Yeah.
Like, on paper it looks good, but you should see that in the movie.
I feel like that's something that we should be sitting next to each other and see it, and our
jaws
just like,
oh my god! And then you see John Connor going after them. They're on a bus flips. Arnold T-800 catches them.
Just action shots that
which is
look
fine.
All too familiar and because you see aspects of that.
The first time I saw it, I thought of Michael Bay's Transformers. I was like, this is trying to fall into Transformer-y territory.
I can see that.
Oh, man. And then, going back to the whole time travel aspect, because I'm going to forget this point if I don't say it now. So, this is one of the first sci-fi time travel movies with the first Terminator. And then we've gotten other Terminators. Yeah, that's not what I was going to say. Time travel movies like Looper, X-Men Days of Future Past, and Star Trek, which were the last couple years, they rebooted the franchise, but they're still in canon with the earlier movies, utilizing time travel. So it looks like this movie is jumping on that bandwagon of time travel aspect. Like
those movies aren't bad. Like Looper isn't bad, and
no, like they're
X-Men
good.
Isn't bad and everything.
But it's specifically X-Men Days of Future Past and Star Trek. They utilize it in a good way.
Yeah.
And now the Terminator Genisys is jumping on that bandwagon of being like, we're gonna reset the timeline and screw with people's heads. Which raises bad questions though, because then you're like, I don't want to sit through the movie and be like, how does this make sense?
It's like
because it's gonna take me out of the movie.
It's like the franchise itself is going back in time. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get it when we watch it. Right now, it just makes me really mad. Mm-hmm. Just because I'm that big of a fan of the first two. But
one thing that's actually good about this trailer is the CGI.
Right.
The CGI is really good.
I thought it looked really good.
It looks good.
I mean, I don't know how hard it is to make metal look really good CGI as opposed to like flesh.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell it's not that practical feel from Terminator 2. Like, if you were to watch Terminator 2, you'd be like, that's a robot. When they Arnold's face is like cut like half off with the red eye,
and the robot's hand is like still that's real.
Yeah, that's like and in some aspects you see the CGI-ness of it, and I'm like, oh, that's. And then we get into John Connor in robot form saying like, I'm not full robot, I'm not full human, like I'm something more. Essentially he's a humanoid, but then you see him in his exoskeleton.
And he just looks robot.
So like, what are you? Are you human? Are you really?
Robot Come on. With human brain? I mean, I thought that was already...
But still, like, you're like 100% robot at that point.
Yeah.
Like, it's just weird. And then again, it looks like a transformer. And throughout this whole trailer, you get the aspect of Kyle Reese is like asking the audience questions. Like, he's the audience member in the movie. Like, this doesn't make sense to me. And like, wait, how did you know I was coming? And who are you? And this isn't supposed to happen.
And that big line, whatever they did to John, we have to fix it.
Oh, which I didn't. I didn't really like it because I got as soon as Kyle Reese says that, I'm like, I have a hunch. So the movie is not gonna be about killing the villain, who is John Connor, but it's gonna be about turning him back human,
like resetting the timeline.
Yeah,
almost.
But it's
resetting it to the point it was at the end of the other ones.
So that's my hunch is that the movie that Day, who's the T-800, who's Arnold, Sarah Connor, and Kyle Reese are gonna try and bring John. Like, they're going to try and make him human again.
That does kind of make sense, because John's supposed to be the savior, and how is he going to do that if he's a bad guy?
Yeah, but then in my head, I'm like, they just probably, like, clones him, and John's somewhere else, and they're just messing with people's minds. You know what I'm saying? Like, they just, But I'm like, that's my hunch that the movie's going to revolve around. That's the plot of the movie. I'm just spitballing that out there. Oh, man. And then we get shots of the T-1000, like in Terminator 2, which is pretty cool.
And then the greatest part, my favorite part of the trailer, we see Arnold against Arnold.
Yeah, you see the T-800 versus the T-800.
Right.
So you see the old
T-800 versus young T-800 that just
really
got
cool.
there.
I like that. Like, I know some people didn't, but I really enjoy that.
It gives like a Fast and Furious feel when you see the big fist fight go down.
Yeah.
You know? Except it's like the same person.
And then you get the same Arnold one-liners, like, I'll be back. And then you get the other, come with me if you want to live. And so you got that.
And hopefully it'll throw maybe a new one-liner that everybody will like. I've been waiting for you.
I mean, maybe we'll get more of Skynet like the computer who like tries to take over the world. Maybe we'll get more of it, like the idea of like what is their actual plan. Like maybe their master plan was to get, it's not really kill John Connor. Well, I guess you can kill him and get his skin and exoskeleton and bones and skin, whatever. But like maybe their idea was to kill him, grab him, clone him to send that Terminator, like make him a Terminator to send back in time to kill his mother. Because what better way would you want to do that?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
that's the trailer.
Get the son to kill his mom.
Yeah, exactly. But it seems the time travel, and then there's like some shots where it's like present day. Like I don't know.
The only thing that they didn't touch from the scenes that I didn't see from the old movies are them bringing down the company Skynet itself.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
that's the only thing that I didn't see. So it's kind of just like it's revisiting the times of 1 and 2 as with a mix of the future and then even further back. Yeah. You know,
I feel like this movie is going to be one of two things. It's going to be not a lot of action and a lot of plot explaining everything. Or you're going to be having a lot of questions that aren't going to be answered because there's going to be too much action set pieces. I'm
hoping they answer all the questions or else I'm going to leave the movie
frustrated.
Not satisfied.
Yeah. I mean, it'll probably, if it wasn't for the earlier movies and you were to reset your mind like this movie is, going into the theater and be like, sitting down for the first time, you probably accept it for what it is. But because of the canon of the old movies, I mean, it just doesn't work for me.
This will either be the movie that brings it all down, or that makes it good again.
Yeah, and I mean, it is directed by Alan Taylor, who directed Thor 2, and that they want to shoot a whole new trilogy. Like this is the start of a new trilogy. So we'll see what happens. It's not so much that it's a bad trailer, I guess. Well, no, it is a really bad trailer, but it doesn't.
Yeah, I agree. I don't like it.
It's just so frustrating. It's so hard for me to explain what I'm trying to say.
I just want them to come out with a good Terminator movie, and then leave it alone.
Yeah,
forever.
So this trailer,
they're taking away the integrity of the first two.
Yeah, which are phenomenal films.
Yeah,
you know, they're good movies. Like I still watch them. You still watch them. I just hope that this movie just. I don't know. I actually don't. The trailer... Okay, let's get back to the trailer instead of the movie. The trailer didn't do it for me. I didn't like bits and pieces of the trailer. It made us ask way too many bad questions instead of good questions. So
exactly. The questions that they raised were just bad.
Yeah, it didn't excite me. It just made me furious and frustrated, as you can see, because we were both ranting the whole time. So, Juan Maldonado.
Jorge Vargas. Sorry for the rant.
Thanks for watching, you guys.
Signing off.